Welcome to a new scented video. In today's video we're going to have a look at different fragrance pairings, and the idea here is that one of them will be the lighter version that you may want to wear during the day, and the other one will be a bit more dense, a bit more complex version, and this would be more suited for the evening. Having said that, you know, fragrance is universal. You can wear it whenever the heck you want, and I'm not here to tell you when to wear your fragrances. It is just a suggestion and giving you kind of more options. If you like one of these fragrances, something else might be similar or something in the same line, so you might want to check this one as well. Having said that, this video will be maybe long because I have 10 pairings, and in each obviously there's 2 fragrances, so we're going to cover 20 different fragrances. Have a snack, have a drink, and let's get into it. By the way, I will not be getting into reading the different notes for all the 20 fragrances because it's going to be even longer, but I will explain what kind of feeling I'm getting of these fragrances, how they smell to me, so you can get a better feel how these fragrances are different or similar. Now let's get into the first pairing, and for the day or the lighter option I have Bottega Veneta EDP. And this fragrance, I have a full review on my channel if you're interested to have a look, but to me this is a quite unique perfume and I really learned to enjoy it. This was not love at first sniff for me, but since then it has become one of my fragrances that I have to have in my collection. This is a very kind of fizzy, leathery fragrance, it's disperses like a cloud in the air. And it does have a little bit like a paint vibe in the beginning when you spray it, like the opening is not the prettiest, and that's what kind of put me off initially of the fragrance. Funny story time, and that might explain why I like this fragrance. As a kid, I loved the smell of paint. When someone was like painting the wall, I'll be like going and smelling it, and like, I don't know, it's not a good smell, but it's also kind of addictive. So to me, I'm not selling this fragrance, I understand that. But it is so sophisticated, elevated. It has this kind of like an expensive vibe about it. The leather comes through, now the opening is gone and I'm left with the dry down, which is just this kind of a clean leather, and it's kind of fizzy in the air. It's very, very light as a texture. It does not have any sweetness to it. It is not like spicy or anything. It's just very unique to me, this leather. It's a clean leather, it's sophisticated and very elevated, and this fragrance I would wear anywhere really. If you want to feel very put together, it works well about town, at work, in the office. If you want to feel very kind of powerful and put together, this one is great. It just has class about it and I tend to enjoy it a lot. I'm rambling, which tells you that I really like this fragrance. Now for the evening, as I said, this is quite unique fragrance, but I do actually have one that is really that exact same thing but amplified, and this is Queer Amethyst by Armani Prive. Let's now test it and have a sniff. Yep. So this one, definitely that exact same idea. The leather that is very sophisticated, a bit cold, but this one has added depth and a bit more actually warmth and background to it. While the one was like fizzy and cloudy, this one is much more grounded, much more dense as a texture. It does have this leather on the top, but it does have like a warm base that is supporting it. I'm not going into the notes, as I said, so I cannot give you like a breakdown and how they are similar or different. But this is also has the same richness and sophistication, plus added warmth and depth. And to me, these are really like the perfect combination. To me, this is a very true recommendation. I feel very confident to say if you like this one, you will like this one as well. Let's get into our pairing number 2, and it's also again a bit of an unusual one. We have Velvet Cashmere by CZUMA, and this is a niche house, I think, out of Poland, and I haven't explored any of their other fragrances, but they do look really interesting and the price point is very good. And Oh my god, this is such a surprise to me, because I think I paid like a 40 euro for 100 ml, but this fragrance smells really expensive to me, and it is fresh. It has lots of bergamot in it, and it does have like a roundness to it, a little bit of green, a little bit of spice, but like very warm and also fresh at the same time, and that all together is just really sophisticated. This fragrance doesn't give you any like tropical vibes or any like it is clean, but it is very, very polished. And while it does have cold elements, it also has like a very rounded texture, so it is super sophisticated as well. I could also see it in the same situation as the previous one, so kind of like if you are at work, out and about. This is not like a romantic type of fragrance, it is just a very kind of clean, if you will, but in a very sophisticated way. So it's not this kind of like a zesty lemony kind of thing. And now for the evening version, this one would be Shalimar. I do have Parfum Initial, which was the kind of limited edition that is very hard to find, and I do really think that the CZUMA one reminds more of this one than the original, but I think the original still stands if you want to have for the evening something like this. And yes, I'm now having them side by side. This is CZUMA and this is Shalimar. Again, greeny, round, vetiver, a little bit, there is some citrus. And this is the same, but it has depth and has spices, richness in it. Also the same roundness, very sophisticated as well. And this one, as I said, is the Initial. So the original one is even warmer and more sweeter to my nose. But this one, it does not have that sweetness. It is sweetness, but in a different way. So for me, these two are really, really kind of a, if you like the one, if you would wear Shalimar in the evening, you would definitely wear CZUMA during the day. I do really believe that this is kind of like a lighter version of this one. So if you like this, you might want to try this or the other Shalimar flankers, and vice versa. If you enjoy Shalimar, check this out. I think it's a very nice, fresher version of that. Our third pairing is something that is close to my heart in the way that I really enjoy that scent profile, and it isn't as common, even though there are several options, but the long story comes from the back in the day, Lolita Lempicka L. I keep bitching about this fragrance on this channel and it's long dead and gone, but that scent profile of lemony, cinnamony kind of a combination, like a lemon custard with cinnamon, is something that these fragrances are about. Now, for the fresher daytime version, I do have Valkyrie by Sylvain Delacourt, and I will spray it in here. This one is actually created by the same perfumer that created Elle by Lolita Lempicka, so it explains why they have the kind of similar vibe. But this one is much more stripped down in terms of the gourmand part, so there is not that much of a creamy sweet base. Instead of that, there are added herbs, so it's much more fresh, airy, transparent, and the spices are coming immediately. It does have mint, as far as I remember, in the top, so it's really fresh and uplifting, but then it also has a strong cinnamon spicy vibe. And I really enjoy it. It is something that is a pick-me-up. I see it during the daytime. It is a bit delicious, but it's not heavy, so it is something for the warmer weather or anytime you like, but it does have this hot and cold kind of contrast in this scent. We do have the cold mint and the herbs, and then we have the cinnamon, which is really, really kind of prominent. It's quite interesting. And if you wonder what would be the actual evening or heavier version of that scent, this is Lyra by Serjov. So Lyra, to my nose, quite similar to Elle. I will shut up about it, I promise. Yes, so this one, again, we do have this lemony cinnamon profile, but in this fragrance, we do have amplified the base very much. We do have this custardy feel about it. It is sweet. It is dense. And actually the spices are kind of dipped into this custard, so they're not so sharp to the nose. They're blended much better. So if you really enjoy gourmand fragrances, Lyra is a very good one. So I really do feel like these are along the same line, but two very different fragrances. So this one would go for warmer weather, something much more kind of vibrant, and this is something much more deep and warm. Once again, Valkyrie by Sylvain Delacourt and Lyra by Xerjoff. My fourth pairing, I actually don't anymore have in my collection the like a lighter version because I used it up, and it is Hermès Ambre de Merveille, and this fragrance, I will pop a picture on the screen. It is a very transparent watercolor kind of an amber fragrance that has warmth, but it's also kind of very light, and it is suited for warmer weather as well. And it does have this kind of salty skin, sun-kissed vibe with a bit of a mineral touch to it. To me, this fragrance has a lot of like a sunset on the beach kind of vibe, really like a warm feel, and it's really, really thin. And the fragrance that is more dense version, I do have a full bottle currently. This is Vancleave and Arpels Ambre Imperial, and it is kind of the same story, but much more dense. So if you were lacking that depth in Ambre de Merveille, this one is very, very similar, but it has much more backbone, so it's kind of more concentrated. But the same story, so warm amber, a little bit mineral something, but in this case, because it is more dense, it is not so elusive, so it's much more present. And it's overall a tad sweet, but not like a gourmand. It is just kind of warm hug type of scent, and it doesn't give me immediately, because it's so warm, like autumn or colder weather, but to me this is also like a maybe summer evening type of scent, because it does have this little bit of a mineral sun-kissed quality. I don't know how to explain it better. It's kind of if you've been in the sea and then you've been laying on the beach at sunset, and then the water has evaporated and you're left with the salt. Yeah, so for me this fragrance, Ambre Imperial and Hermès Ambre de Merveille would be a successful pairing if you want to have denser or lighter version of one or the other. Pairing number 5, I have a new Diptyque in my collection. I have not hauled that yet. I'm sorry, I feel like a failure because I promise I won't be buying any more fragrances this year, but here it is. And this is Oddwell. Once again, Diptyque have gorgeous bottles, and I really, really love the look of it as well as what I'm smelling. So, and when I bought this, I kind of had an idea what it would smell like, and it turned out that it's exactly what I expected. So I will spray this. This, by the way, is Oddwell Eau de Toilette and not Eau de Parfum. From what I was reading, they were very kind of different, as it should. I mean, they're two different fragrances, but there was quite different scent profile on those. And I chose this one because it was described as kind of like a herbaceous deep vanilla. So it was transparent and herbaceous, but it does have that vanilla depth on the base. And that's exactly what you get. So when you spray it, it does have herbs and it disperses in the air. It is not like a heavy fragrance, but it does have this very delicious vanilla base that is close to the skin, and it's just very scrumptious. In that sense, it really reminds me in scent profile, not exactly like a dupe or anything, but herbaceous vanilla. The one thing that I have smelled that is very much that, a little bit different in the scent, but very much herbaceous, light vanilla. It is Virgil by Sylvain Delacourt, and I want to get a full bottle of that one. I had a 30 ml. I used up like a 25, and then the bottle broke because I dropped it. And yeah, so I would really love to have 100 ml of that, but I don't need it while I have this one. So very, very pleasant. This is a fragrance that many people will like. It's sophisticated. It smells very kind of polished. It does have herbs, but they are very well blended with the vanilla, so it's a really round composition, but also very fluffy and light. It's beautiful. Now, why I did not buy the EDP even though I am the kind of person who likes much more dense fragrances, is because I read that the EDP of Oddwell is 90% similar. That is a comment that I read on Fragrantica, so no scientific research in this, but 90% similar to a fragrance that I already have in my collection, and this is Initio Absolute Aphrodisiac. Now, I have not smelled the Oddwell EDP, but by smelling the Eau de Toilette, I can really see that there could be a strong resemblance. So this one, and in this case, I would guess that the Eau de Parfum would be the darker sister of the Eau de Toilette, which would make sense. But I can't vouch for that, so I am presenting you as a much deeper sister, something much more deeper, richer, much more stronger. This is really much kind of for the colder weather or the evening, or evening in the colder weather, however you like. This is kind of like the denser, more vanilla, more gourmand version without the herbaceous kind of tone in it. So it is very much the base of that one, of Oddwell, but amplified. And of course, they're not identical in any means, so you can have both easily. And yeah, so for me, Initio actually, Absolute Aphrodisiac is not one of my top favorite fragrances. I do find it kind of one-dimensional, and but it's very, you know, sugary, kind of, not in a gourmand way. It's kind of like a, wow. This one is, although I say that, it is a really, really nice, kind of almost a gourmand fragrance, but very sophisticated. So it is not like a sugar cotton candy. It's more like a brown sugar, if you think, that kind of a feeling I'm getting. So it's deep and dark and sweet, but it doesn't go cloying. Why I'm saying that is kind of not my top favorite in this scent profile. It was compared to L'Homme Féline by Atelier des Ors, and to be honest, they're like chalk and cheese, because this, I can see the comparison, but this feels much more flat and much more lacking in depth, if you will, because L'Homme Féline is like a beast of a fragrance, and also is not everyone's cup of tea. So I would say this one is actually much more safer. I'm rambling again. So if you're on the market for like a dark, sweet fragrance, really kind of cuddly in a way, but it doesn't have too many dimensions, it stays that way throughout the whole wear. This is Aphrodisiac, Absolute Aphrodisiac by Initio. Our next pairing, I think number 6, I think I lost the count. This is super delicious. Buckle up. We have Boucheron and Ambre Alexandrie. Yes, Ambre Alexandrie by Boucheron, and it's one of my very, very favorites. This fragrance is extremely scrumptious and just so good. So, if you are on the market for something boozy, something sweet, something like an apple pie, this is the one. It is, having said that, if you think that, oh my god, I don't want to smell like a boozy apple pie or something, this is very sophisticated, guys. So it smells really expensive, very round, but it does have a bit of an airy quality to it. So having said that, it does last really, really well. So this fragrance is kind of, if you want to smell like a very expensive apple pie with lots of rum or something like that in it, it is just super, super delicious. And on the skin, it just blooms and kind of heats up. It's so good. It's really, really kind of seductive, but it's not too heavy. It's beautiful to me, so I can recommend with 2 hands this fragrance. So beautiful. Now, I do have something, and you will know what this is, but I just wanted to repeat over there if someone, because I don't think everyone watches all of my videos. If you like this scent profile, boozy, apple pie, sweet, kind of gourmand, but not in a cloying kind of way, this is the lighter version, and the darker version is, and the darker version of this would be my beloved Angel's Share by Kilian. So this is again very much this boozy apple pie, warm, sweet, right? But I'll just spray one more time, one time only, because it's my precious. Oh my god, so the booze is amplified. It does have this like an oak barrel undertones, and has like a caramelized feel. So while the other one was a bit more transparent and more about the booze and the apple and kind of woodsy, this one has very strong like a burnt caramel. When I say burnt, I don't mean there is no smoke in here. It's just this warm caramel, and it's just so delicious, guys. Also smells really, really expensive. When I received my bottle of Angel's Share, I think they had sprayed in the bag that comes in, and it smelled so good. I'm like, this is what fancy people smell like. It's perfect. This is great, like Christmas fragrance. And a little bit more dense version of Boucheron. Now my next pairing is not so much of a like night to day or day to night, but it's more like, if you like this, try that. Something like a fragrance amplified with different notes. So my lighter or like more simplified one would be the amazing Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. I absolutely adore this fragrance, and I know it's really, really expensive, so that's why I have only 30 ml and I spray just once. But oh my god, this is so good. Stop it. So this one reminds me very much of like a cherry liquor type of scent. Something like the cherry cordial or chocolate cordial, what's it called? The chocolate that has cherry liquor inside. It is so delicious. Beautiful. Like, this is edible. It is very, very good. So I can sit here for like 1 hour telling you how this is very good. But, you know, it is just this very delicious cherry boozy kind of deal. And this is where it ends. So now this is not a bad thing by all means. But I do have something that goes further. So it is, by the way, I just still have this, my little sample. I will be picking up a full bottle, and I'm keep buying all other things instead of that. I don't know what's wrong with me. This is, whoa. Yeah, so this is this Lost Cherry, but it's really getting lost in here because it's covered also in kind of like a suede, leathery type of thing. So, as I would say, this is Lost Cherry with a leather jacket kind of vibe. So this is kind of more edgy and more deep, but it's very much this kind of like a boozy cherry covered in layers of this suede. So it's kind of a little bit fuzzy and very warm and deep. I tend to love this. Like, I really want to wear this in this kind of like autumn weather because it just envelops you in this warmth of the jacket in a way. So for me, this is kind of the more innocent, sweet sister, while this is a bit more edgy. And I love them both. I love them both super much. And I have a video actually about these two, mostly about this, kind of comparing them. So if you want to have a look more, find this video on my channel. My 8th pairing, again, I don't have one of the two, but I know that they are really kind of good pairing. So the daytime or the lighter version, this is Diptyque Eau Capitale, and I love this so much. I got it again by like a sample, and the more I wore it, the more I loved it. It is not initially something that I would be, you know, immediately attracted to, but it's just so good. So this one is all about this kind of like a peppery patchouli rose. It is really round and kind of sensual in a way, but it does have this little bite from the kind of pepper and bergamot. So it does have really kind of hot and cold, push and pull kind of thing. I really, really love it. It lasts so well. It projects, it smells very expensive. It is stunning fragrance. I really love it. Now, if you go and research this, you will find that many people compare it to another fragrance that I don't have, and I will be putting it on the screen. This is Frederic Malle Portrait of a Lady. I have sampled it though, so I know that they are really, really similar. What Portrait of a Lady is, to my nose, it's kind of this patchouli rose without the punchy kind of herbally, and it's not very punchy, without the herbally pepper kind of vibe. So it's much more about the rose and patchouli, kind of this look at me, here I come, kind of a very feminine, warm fragrance. And it's very deep, performs outstandingly. So they are very, very much kind of the same woman, but in a different setting. So this one is, you know, a bit more kind of when she wants to be more serious, and the other one is when she wants to be more sensual. So again, Diptyque Eau Capitale. I find it that can be hard to find, and if you find it, give it a try, grab it, because it's really beautiful if you enjoy Portrait of a Lady, that is. Now for this next one, I was really digging into the archives and trying to find my teeny tiny sample of the kind of deeper version of that scent. But I couldn't find it because I loved it so much I used it up, and it was just this super tiny 1.5 ml. And I remember it though because it is something that I usually would not go for, but somehow was so addicted to. And I'll get to that, but the lighter version of that, and much more affordable, but still very beautiful. And this is Salvador Dali Eau de Toilette. Now this fragrance surprised me. I saw that it was compared very much to this, you know, deeper one, even though that's not very deep, that's why I'm kind of air quotes. The fragrance is just really, I can confirm that if you like the other one, you will like this one as well. And it is like a more affordable alternative. Smells, I'm not saying what the other one is because I really want to kind of highlight that this is also a very good fragrance in its own right. So it is this kind of very fluffy cloud. It's extremely light. It's kind of like a dusting in the air. It's really light and kind of powdery, creamy, soapy fragrance. It's like, yeah, who am I? Because I don't usually like soapy fragrances at all, but it really is so sophisticated and feminine, and it's just like angelic to me. It is something just so approachable, clean, but warm at the same time. It is not screechy in any way. It's just like a creamy soap lather, not the soap itself, just the lather of the soap is beautiful. So this one, it lasts pretty well, but it's very close to the skin. And this again is Salvador Dali Eau de Toilette. I unfortunately don't have the other one, but I'll pop a picture on the screen, and it is Amouage Dia. I fell in love with this. Initially I was again like, oh, kind of this, you know, aldehydic number 5 type of scent. A little bit dated, but vintage, I would say, not dated. It has this timeless quality to it, very sophisticated. Again, this soapy lather, creamy, very kind of angelic, warm. I have actually heard that, can't confirm, but I just heard that the Queen of the Netherlands is wearing that fragrance. So it's very timeless and very, very classy, and it had very good performance. On my little tiny sample, I'm nobody to talk about performance, but I kept sniffing my wrist and it was there for quite a long time. It sat very well on the skin. So yeah, I will have to grab myself a bottle of Amouage Dia. I want it, but of course they're not very cheap, so I have to kind of prioritize which to go for first. But this one, on the other hand, is really, really affordable. I think I paid like €30 for 100 ml. So if you want to experience that for a much lower price, this is a very, very good option. Again, Salvador Dali Eau de Toilette. And the last pairing, I think it's the 11th, at least 10th, but I think it's 11th, I lost count. These two fragrances, they are not kind of the same dead ringer, the same way that Bottega Veneta was with Armani, but more like a feeling. So if you like the feeling of the one, you would like the feeling of the other, but the other one is a bit more deep. And again, in this case, specifically in this case, there is not like a clear nighttime fragrance. They're both very like a light fragrance. They both can be during the day or during the night, wherever you want. So this is Siwa by Memo, and I do love me a Memo, you know that. This fragrance is one that is one of the most versatile and inoffensive if I want to just smell good, but I know that I'll be around many people, and people can have all kinds of opinions about perfumes. So I would wear this one. It's super inoffensive, but it smells really nice and approachable, clean, kind of a little bit creamy, the same cream vibe, but not, it doesn't have this soapy aspect to it. It's just warm and really, really sophisticated, creamy, a little bit. When I say creamy, I mean kind of imagine like a Nivea cream, but with a bit more florals. This one has some crazy notes and I don't smell any of that. I remember it had like popcorn and whiskey or something, and it doesn't really, I can't detect but it comes to a just very huggable, beautiful, sensual, but really classy fragrance. And what I find that if you're, let's say, wearing this and you just want to amplify and get something with a bit more depth and kind of like backbone, but it's not, again, it's not like a super nighttime crazy. This is a fragrance that I actually forgot to mention when I was doing my haul last time. Again, I discovered this through my subscription called Sniff. They sent me like a little 7ml one of the months, and I was kind of like, yeah, that's nice, but I kept like spraying it on me all the time, and I felt like this just smells so good, you know? So this is Ruth, and the fragrance is called Pale Blue Eyes. Never heard about this brand before, and this is my very first fragrance from them, but I have to say that I'm really impressed with the quality. I love the look of the bottle, and the price was quite moderate, so I really liked it. They are not the same at all with Siwa. Again, as I'm saying, they're not kind of the same fragrance but deeper. This is the same feel, but much more kind of amplified, the feeling, not so much the scent itself. So if you want to smell like a creamy and sensual and clean, approachable, but with something extra, this is very much that. I know this one has ambergris, and you can kind of feel it has a salty vibe to it, but it's also like a powdery and warm and a little bit creamy sweetness, and the ambergris in the background. Don't know exactly the notes anymore of this one, but really kind of sophisticated and huggable fragrance. Like really, I would love to smell it on someone. It's just this very inoffensive, very approachable, beautiful, sensual in a way, without sexy or anything like that. It's just very huggable. Like, I really enjoy this. And for me, if the other one was kind of a bit more too quiet for you, this is something in the same feel but stronger. And again, perfumes are really subjective, and you can wear them anywhere, anytime, if you enjoy. So these were my day to night kind of pairings. Let me know what you think of this idea, and do you have any fragrances that you find are similar, kind of one is the lighter version of the other, and or they would complement each other. So I would be really interested to read and learn and discover more fragrances. It also helps everyone find new fragrances this way. Like I said a million times, fragrances are universal. Don't take this as, you know, you should wear this during the day and this during the night. In some cases, neither of them is something I would consider like a nighttime fragrance. But yeah, this was all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up and let me know, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!